I'm joined here today, well, first and foremost, my name is Sela Bino, legislator representing Legislative District 2. I'm joined here today with Legislator Laura Curran, who is the co-sponsor of the land bank legislation that we introduced. In addition, I'm joined here with my colleagues in government. First and foremost, I'd like to say that I do appreciate that the administration is moving forward with the land bank bill. However, I do believe that our version of the bill is stronger in that it gives communities with the most zombie homes direct representation on the land bank board. And second, our version mirrors the New York State land bank legislation in that it set priorities for how these properties should be developed. Our bank provides for affordable housing to be the priority. The overall benefits include that the legislation would stabilize neighborhoods and families by creating safer communities and increasing the tax base. In addition, it would provide housing options for our young people and our working families. More importantly, I believe that the mission of the land bank charge would remain consistent despite what political winds might change. At this time, I'd like to bring to the podium Legislator Laura Curran.
Thank you. So the creation of the land bank, the Nassau County Land Bank, gives us as a county the ability to combat the zombie house epidemic plaguing pretty much every neighborhood in our county. And it allows us to do this in a more focused and consistent way. Legislator Bino and I are appreciative that we will be named to the land bank board. We just feel our bill is better. It's a better version of the bill because it ensures the remedy is as strong as the illness. And I know that sometimes we can get carried away with the metaphor, with the zombie metaphor and the plague and the infestation, but really that's what these zombie houses do. They come and it's like they take over a living house and they die, but they're not quite dead. You know, there can be people coming in and out, the weeds grow, they're unsightly, they bring down property values, there's vermin, there's all kinds of problems. And to give you a sense of what those problems might be, I've invited a neighbor of mine from Baldwin, John Cochran, who has lived next door to the zombie house for a number of years. John?
Hi, as Laura said, my name is John Cochran, and my family and I have lived next to a zombie house for the last 2.5 years. In that time, it has deteriorated from a mere eyesore to a potential safety hazard. As a homeowner, it's been frustrating. While people like my wife and I put effort into maintaining and improving our properties, houses like this are bringing real estate values down. As a community member, it's sad to watch what was once a cute little house fall into such decay, while, for instance, people displaced by Superstorm Sandy still have housing issues. Attempts to contact responsible parties in these situations are also quite difficult. A phone call to Councilman Santina's office about 2 years ago did lead to a property cleanup. The house was padlocked and a broken window was boarded up. However, since then, we get a lawn crew every week for about 5 minutes that mows a small patch of grass in front, but the back is completely neglected. There's head-high brambles, beer cans, and in the meantime, there really doesn't seem to be any end in sight. So when Lori asked me to make some comments about what my experience was like, I was happy to oblige. So I thank you for your time, and if there's, when you ask me anything about living next to a zombie house, I wouldn't mind answering some questions. All right, thanks.
A quick question. Do you, are you finding that your house gets any kind of infestation coming from the house?
It's been an issue in terms of vermin and stuff like that. So that's a thing.
Thank you.
Could you, just one question while you're there? I understand all the issues, but what is your, based on what hasn't happened yet, what is your biggest worry and fear? I mean, how much worse could it get for you if this zombie house continues to exist as it is? I mean, how much worse could it be?
Well, certainly there's fire and vermin and, just safety issues like that. Just to get the property cleaned up and maintained until it could be sold would be a nice thing.
So at this time, I'm going to bring to the podium Legislator Judy Chambers.
Hi, everybody. I was hoping to get two people who live next to zombie houses in my area, but I want to first tell you that I represent the 16th Legislative District. We have zombie houses in Syosset, we have zombie houses in Woodbury, and we have zombie houses in Plainview. I specifically, and just this morning, said to one of them from Plainview, I said, even though you can't come, I'd like you to take the time to talk to me as if you're making a presentation. So I want to share it with you, all right? The facts are that this home, which is a beautiful home on a beautiful street, has been abandoned for 3 to 4 years already. Originally, they did not realize it was abandoned. That's a problem at the very beginning. But they did see a lot of young people, 15 to 19 years of age, coming and going on the block, and no one had any idea where they were going. They realized they were going to the vacant house. There were many prolonged stays during this period of the kids just staying in the house. And even though, remember, no lights, no facilities that we all appreciate. There was drugs going on, smoking, hanging out increased quickly, and this is important, as it became known throughout the Plainview, Old Bethpage community that this was an abandoned house. So it became a hangout, which only increased the fact of drugs, it almost became like a drug house, because people knew they could come in, go out, and no one's looking at it. Candles were used all over the inside of the house throughout the entire year, and lo and behold, there was a fire. By the way, there was a fire in the Plainview house, a fairly intensive one, but not enough to stop the kids from going back into the house. It appears that people who spoke to the children in the district were told, and it was verified, that they all know where the abandoned houses are, and it does attract them all to go there. The town did come and boarded up the house about 2 or 3 times. However, this neighbor I was speaking to said, just after the boarding up after the fire, where there was wood on a door in the back of the house, all he did was touch it gently. It flew right open, which means obviously that anyone could get in, and he was able to see the inside, which was totally a disaster. He didn't see drugs, but he saw toilet paper rolls and garbage, and obviously there had to be vermin there too. And he also said, like you said, that the grass is so high. But there, at least you had the village come every once in a while to cut at least a certain section. Nobody came. Nobody has come. There is a neighbor that's right next door who pays their own gardener to go, but he's paying with his own money, and the liability is extreme in that case, because you really cannot go on someone's property, and someone's got to be responsible, obviously, if there is an injury. The gardener won't even go unless the blades on his lawnmower are worn out enough that he's about to replace them, and then he's willing to go to take down. So that really is the last point. I mean, it's really a wonderful neighborhood, wonderful people such as this gentleman before me who just spoke, who are burdened with this, and certainly I personally believe that the bill that we're putting forward here that is stronger than the one Mr. Mangano put out, and between you and me, this one is the one that mirrors what the Attorney General wants. And obviously, if it's any bill is going to be effective, you need the Attorney General to be on board. And he approved of our bill. So I hope we get someplace.
Legislator Salamis?
Thank you very much. I'd like to first of all thank my colleagues, Laura Curran and Legislator Bino, for bringing forward this bill. All that we're simply asking for, we're asking for there to be a stronger bill that mirrors the Attorney General's bill. This is a very serious issue, and we cannot afford to have weak legislation addressing this. With this legislation, at least calls for the opportunity for the community to be directly involved. They know firsthand about these issues, and it would be best to help us implement a solution. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Well, as we wrap up, I just want to say that we're here today. Sorry, I apologize. Legislator, do you want to?
I just want to compliment my colleagues. This is a very important piece of legislation. It all has to do with everything that happened with the banking, with those mortgages at one point. But this is the last part that seems to have been forgotten. And I think it's an extremely important part, not only for the values of the neighbors' homes, but just in our communities in general. And as Legislator Jacobs said, our legislation is clearly in line with what the Attorney General wants. And I'm happy to see both Laura and Zila be on the board, but it's a board that we have to watch carefully. There's a lot of power in this board in the sense that they're going to be the ones to determine what properties are bought and what they're used for, and I want to make sure it's fitting in the community, like we mentioned, with either low-income or next-generation homes, things that we really care about. So again, I'm happy to see something going forward, but I would be much happier to see a stronger bill to be placed forward. And since we're doing it, we might as well do it right. Thank you very much.
So as we bring this to a close today, I just want to say that we're here today to implore the administration, County Executive Ed Mangano, to pull back his bill today, table it in order to give our bill a good vetting, to look at it, bill to bill. I'm sure that once he's done that, he will himself determine that our bill is stronger. It'll address the issues of zombie homes directly, and moreover, it would have an impact on our issue regarding affordable housing. We really feel strongly that direct representation on the land bank board by the municipalities directly affected will in fact give a voice to that community. It will help shape the bylaws and the process for moving forward with removing the blight from the community. Case in point, in Hempstead alone, we have 1/3 of the houses that aren't on the tax roll, and many of them zombie homes, and so this would really boost the tax base of that community, and I think that those members of municipalities should be represented. And again, the affordable housing piece could be driven home more in that we're currently always looking for ways to build more affordable housing. Well, we have housing. We have housing that's underutilized and in many cases just unsafe and causing a blight. Why not take those houses and make homes for our families here, our working families and our young people? So we'll close out at this time, and thank you for your time.
Quick question.
Any questions?
Yeah, I just want, because your bill may be a stronger bill, but it's going nowhere without Republican help. Do you have Republican help? I guess we're going to know soon enough today. But can you tell us now, do you have any Republican votes?
Well, we have, our bill allows for representatives from the Republican caucus to sit on the land bank, and we had some interest from some of the parties that we had named to sit on there. We know that today the bill will come forward. We are going to, press, and we are going to, give a strong voice to our bill today, with the hopes that there will be a tabling of the current bill that's on the agenda for today.
Specifically, why does your bill have more teeth? What's the difference between the bill that's going to be brought up today and your guys' version? What are the main kind of differences?
So the two main things is, first and foremost, there is no component of that bill that allows for direct representation for the most affected municipalities. So the municipalities that are dealing with this day in and day out will not have a voice. They won't be there to help shape the bylaws for the overall mission for the land bank. So we think that that in itself brings a level of strength and ultimately accountability. Further, it sets priorities. It sets priorities to what properties we will be looking at and how we will deal with those properties. So right now, our priorities are affordable housing, and then we look at retail, and then we look at open space. Right now, the legislation doesn't provide for that. So it's my understanding that this administration's legislation really doesn't speak to any of those issues. So it kind of leaves it for the appointed members to create bylaws to effectively set up the process for the land bank. And it's our thoughts that it should be part of the legislation so that it's not a board that then has the ability to vote to change the mission of the land bank.
So later on when the administration changes, your bill kind of keeps it locked in place and gives more community involvement rather than just
Correct.
have the way to win the vote.
Community involvement and consistency.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you for your time.